This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Right now at 6 on Good Morning Indiana.
I'm just praying that they find them because it could happen to anyone, anytime.
What started as an online sale ends in a crime. An Indianapolis woman is sharing her story so the same thing doesn't happen to you.
A busy street into downtown Indianapolis will close to drivers this morning. We're working for you with how long that closure will impact your commute.
Hoosiers with disabilities can face a lot of challenges while job hunting. I'm introducing you to a Muncie-based program working to help them enter the workforce.
And a terrifying phone call that leads a father to believe that his daughter has been kidnapped. This morning, an important warning about the latest phone scam and how you can avoid falling victim.
It is 6 o'clock here on your Cyber Monday. Thanks for waking up early and joining us. Hopefully you've already snagged some of those great deals out there. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Lauren Casey, and we have the perfect phone and internet shopping day. You don't even have to get out of your house if you don't have to go to work or school. Todd Clausen is standing by. And Todd, you planned this out perfectly.
Yeah, if you're into the cyber shopping, yeah, you're going to be ringing up the credit card. The only thing that's going to be hot in the forecast is that credit card, because temperatures today are going to be cool. As you walk out the door here this morning, we're averaging right around 32 to 33 degrees to 35. So everybody's within a couple of degrees of each other this morning. And we have lots of clouds around, and there's a little bit of patchy drizzle and or a few flurries currently out there right now as we start off the work week, and you can see the clouds firmly in place. And here's the precipitation. To the north, it's in the form of some flurries. Off to the east, it's a little more in the way of patchy drizzle. Any way you look at it, it's just a damp morning for us. And unfortunately, throughout the day, we're not going to lose the clouds. Any precipitation should shut off pretty quickly here this morning. That is the good news as this big storm system takes shape along the East Coast. So there could be some major travel delays along the East Coast if you're heading in that direction. But for us, we're just dealing with the clouds, and throughout the morning hours with the clouds in place, a bit of a westerly breeze. Our temperatures are going to hold pretty steady. We're only going to see our temperature go up to about 35 degrees for the noon hour, and really beyond that, temperatures don't warm much more than that. We'll talk more about that forecast for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. We are keeping a close eye on traffic this morning. Here's a live look right now up in the dogleg, I-465 and I-865. Looks like we have some sort of crash cleanup there this morning. It's not slowing down traffic, but you'll need to stay out of those right lanes. No major delays. Taking a look a little south of there, drive time here coming in from the west side on eastbound I-74. Right now, you can expect a 7-minute commute from State Road 267 to the I-465 ramps.
As the holidays get closer, you may find yourself looking to sell some extra items that you have hanging around the house for cash. This morning, an Indianapolis woman says she and her brother were doing just that when they ended up staring down the barrel of a gun. Our Kelsey Anderson is working for you this morning and joins us live with her message. Kelsey, good morning.
Good morning, Meredith. Yeah, so those siblings, they found themselves at gunpoint in a busy parking lot while trying to sell their PlayStation. Kimberly Arnold tells us her and her brother chose to meet here at the Canby Crossing Shopping Center. She says they assumed nothing could go wrong in a very public place. But when her brother asked for the money, the so-called buyers pulled out a gun and took the console without paying. Luckily, Arnold and her brother weren't hurt in the robbery, but she has this message for all of us this morning.
I want everyone to learn that, first of all, don't meet someone on apps or let go apps unless you have a safe place, which I thought this would be a safe place. You know, it's right in the open. Everyone's by us, but apparently it wasn't.
A spokeswoman with IMPD tells RTV6 they have created safe zones at each police district headquarters for people to safely make exchanges under 24-hour video surveillance. Now, there's also a website called safetradespots.com. All you have to do is type in your address, and it populates the closest safe stops locations for you to do your online exchanges. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you. Time now, 6:03. Avon police are investigating a robbery and a shooting at an apartment apartment complex. The department says that dispatchers received several 911 calls early Sunday morning about gunshots at the residences' apartments off Ronald Reagan Parkway. Detectives say they've identified the person responsible for the gunfire and recovered the weapon. They say they are still investigating that robbery. If you know anything about what happened, please call Crime Stoppers.
IMPD says 2 people are dead after separate homicides on opposite sides of the city. The first happened just before 11 o'clock Sunday morning on the east side. Police found a man dead on Bethel Avenue between Michigan and New York streets. Then about an hour later, officers found a man dead on Whitcomb Avenue on the west side. That's in the Carriage House West Apartments near 10th and Lyndhurst. Police say that victim had been shot. The names of either victim have not been released in these cases.
At 6:04, police believe that a 19-year-old woman driving in Marion died after a passenger in her own car shot her with an AR-15. 22-year-old Austin Smith faces criminal recklessness and reckless homicide charges. He's accused of firing the weapon from the backseat, hitting and killing Annalisa McMillan. It happened Tuesday at the intersection of Mason Boulevard and South Baldwin Avenue. 2 other passengers in the car were not injured. Well, if the red line is part of your commute this morning, don't be surprised if you have to pay to get on the bus.
Indigo started charging fares to ride the red line on Sunday. The rapid transit line had been free for the first 3 months, partly because of problems with the new electronic ticketing system. We spoke to riders who say the convenience of the red line is worth the cost.
Yes, it was worth it.
Yeah, this is actually my first time riding the red line.
Anytime there's probably a Pacer game, we'll go down on the bus. It's just so much easier than parking.
Indigo is using a temporary ticketing system for now because the permanent system called MyKey still isn't ready. You can buy a paper ticket with cash or credit card at any red line station. And we are working for you this morning with how much it'll cost you to ride the bus. A 2-hour pass will cost you $1.75. A full-day pass will cost you $4. And if you have a Medicare card, a valid K-12 student ID, or an Indigo half-fare ID card, you can get those passes for half price. You can also buy a week pass for $20 at the bus stop. The permanent system Indigo has planned called MyKey isn't ready yet, as we just mentioned, so you will have to use the temporary one.
Well, a key street moving traffic into downtown Indianapolis is set to shut down for several months, and it all starts today. Illinois will be closed between McCarty and South Streets, that's near Lucas Oil Stadium, and the main post office. Citizens Energy is finishing construction on the lower Pogues Run Tunnel as part of the Dig Indy tunnel system. That project is aimed at eliminating sewer overflows here in Marion County. This closure is scheduled to last through July. This week, the United Auto Workers will vote on a tentative labor deal with Fiat Chrysler. The agreement includes a $9,000 ratification bonus. A person briefed on the matter also says the deal includes a promise not to close any assembly factories for the next 4 years. Fiat Chrysler is the last company to settle on a new contract with the union. The company has 5 factories here in the Hoosier State.
A Northwest Indiana town is saying no to tobacco and vaping products in its public spaces. In November, the Munster Town Council approved the ordinance banning smoke of all tobacco places. The ban says users cannot light up or vape within 15 feet of a public space like a park or the entrance of a public facility like the police station. If a user is caught smoking or vaping, they could receive a fine of up to $1,500. Supporters call the ordinances one of the most comprehensive bans in Indiana.
At 6:07 this morning, a reminder from state police as another one of our neighbors begins to allow recreational marijuana use. The use and possession of marijuana is illegal still in the Hoosier State. Indiana borders 3 states with some legal approval of that drug. In July, state troopers reported seeing an increase of marijuana products coming from other states. Indiana lawmakers have proposed marijuana legislation in the General Assembly in recent years, but none of those proposals have advanced.
Construction is moving ahead on a permanent stage at the White River State Park Amphitheater downtown. The $16 million project is scheduled to be completed in June. It's being built at the same site of a temporary stage that's been built and torn down each year since 2004. The current works include LED screens, a concrete pad for 3,000 seats, and more restrooms. A future phase could add a canopy over the seating area and stage. Concert promoters expect the number of concerts held at the park to grow.
Groups wanting to build a new casino in Terre Haute have just a few more hours to apply. Today is the state's deadline for companies to bid for the Vigo County Inland Casino license. Legislators passed a bill earlier this year allowing an inland casino license to move from Gary to Terre Haute. Vigo County voters overwhelmingly passed the measure on a referendum back in November. As of last week, only Spectacle Entertainment had submitted a proposal for the Vigo County location. Construction could start as early as next year once the Gaming Commission grants the operator a license.
Hiring Hoosiers and helping people with disabilities break into the workforce. Coming up at 6:12, how a Muncie-based program embraces those disabilities and offers life-changing employment training.
And then at 6:19, we're going to show you storms bringing snow to the northeast and how they're impacting flights in and out of Indianapolis International this morning. Todd.
And as you take to the roadways here this morning, whether it's to work or to the airport, you're walking out to a little bit of patchy drizzle, damp conditions, and a few flurries as well, with temperatures that throughout the morning hours are going to hold pretty steady. And to be honest with you, not much changes as we work our way into the afternoon. We'll talk all about that and look beyond as well in your Storm Team 6 forecast coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues. The time now is 6:09.
Is receiving.
Welcome back. Here is a live look at traffic right now on the northwest side, I-465 and I-865, where we had a crash cleanup. You can still see it there over in the far right shoulder, but overall traffic here is moving along up speed in all directions on the northwest side. Hiring Hoosiers is committed to connecting you to jobs and training, helping you to overcome barriers that may be preventing you from getting employment.
And finding a job is a major challenge for Hoosiers with disabilities. So much so, the unemployment rate for people with disabilities has been at about 80% for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, the ARC of Indiana started the Erskine Green Training Institute to help individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities gain employment.
I traveled to Muncie to see what students learn and how it's benefiting employers.
The good thing about hiring somebody with a disability, many of them, once they learn a skill set, they do it the same way every single time. They like the tedious task and they can do it quickly. They have that inner drive within themselves to do their job to the utmost professional ability that they can do it. So that is all a positive.
The Muncie-based program is housed within this Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, where students not only live, but learn and work a specific job in healthcare, food service, or hospitality.
There's places who do bits and pieces of what we do, but nobody who has brought it together the way that we have, which again is why we're seeing the success that we're seeing.
The Erskine Green Training Institute boasts more than 110 graduates and an employment rate of more than 80%.
The employers who have hired our graduates have been very, very pleased and really can't wait to hire our next set of graduates. It has been wonderful. Our biggest problem is we need to communicate that to all of the employers across the state of Indiana.
Employment statistics show that when an employer hires someone with a disability, turnover rate goes down, morale throughout the entire company goes up, and productivity increases as well. And staff at Erskine Green says hiring someone with a disability also lowers the number of workers' compensation claims filed due to their ability to follow rules and not stray away from them. For a full list of employers who have hired Erskine Green grads or to learn more about the Training Institute, you can head on over to hiringhoosiers.com or the RTV6 app. And every day we get new posts from local employers looking for someone just like you to apply for their jobs. And they're all coming in on our Hiring Hoosiers Facebook page. Just type Hiring Hoosiers in your Facebook search bar and connect with us for all these great positions.
All right, we do want to check in with Todd Clausen today in our Monday forecast. Back after the holiday week, Todd, and it's not the best day.
Yeah, I know, it's not the brightest day for us, but we're not dealing with a lot in the way of precipitation. That's at least one good thing. I want to kind of break down the month of December since yesterday was the first. Today's the second, but the start of the month, we start off, including today, with an average high of 44 degrees. By the end of the month, the average high is down to 36 degrees. So we cool off into the 30s as far as precipitation, just over 3 inches on average for the month. Of that, 6.9 inches of snowfall is on average for the month of December. So we had a little bit of an October. Yesterday we had a few flurries in and around the area, but no accumulation. But on average, close to 7 inches of snow falls this month. Outside right now, we're dealing with just some damp and dreary conditions. You can see the clouds, you kind of see the shine on the ground. The moisture is still out there from the rain and snow showers that we had yesterday. and it's just not a great morning for us. Thankfully, we're still above freezing, but look at this wind. It's still breezy out there with this wind out of the west-northwest right now at 23 miles per hour. That wind will start to subside throughout the day. The wind direction, though, does not change, and as a result, that is why our temperatures are really going to struggle to warm throughout the day today. So we're in the 30s right now in all locations, 31 in Crawfordsville, 32 in Richmond. So there's a couple of you in areas outside of the city where your temperatures are at or just below the freezing mark. So it's not out of the question there could be an isolated slick spot this morning, but most of us should remain above freezing as the temperatures are not expected to fall here much more throughout the remainder of the day. But with that said, they really don't go in an upward direction much more throughout the day today as well. With only mid-30s here throughout the afternoon hours, right about 36 degrees for your afternoon high temperature. So as far as the precipitation, again, there's a hit or miss shower here or there and or a flurry, otherwise just lots of clouds. The precipitation threat will diminish as this storm system makes its way up the East Coast. This is going to be a major player for a lot of the airports on the East Coast, and then interior parts of New England going to see over a foot of snow later on today, and then lots of issues in California as well with rain in San Francisco, mountain snows, and a lot of wind really from San Diego up north of San Francisco. Tomorrow morning closer to home, the clouds break overnight tonight, and that allows temperatures to drop down into the 20s. So tomorrow morning's a colder start for us, and then throughout the day, we do work some sunshine back into the forecast. That's the good news. And with that sunshine, we get a little bit warmer, up to 40 degrees, and then going forward, back to seasonable conditions on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with a good amount of sunshine. The precipitation you see here on Friday, that's early. It's more Thursday night into early Friday morning. So most of Friday should be dry. So we just got to get past today, and then the weather does improve as we work our way throughout the middle half of the week. And next weekend at this point looks to be partly to mostly cloudy and temperatures in the mid-40s. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thank you so much. I want to take a look right now at traffic. We are monitoring a new crash for you. Carmel Police and Fire working this one in the area of I-465 and US 31 on the north side. You can't see it here from our camera, but this is a busy stop for the morning commute, and this may change things up a little bit. So let's take a look at our traffic map, and we can plan this out for you. Again, up here on the north side, a serious crash reported on the ramp from southbound US 31 to westbound I-465. The vehicle there is on its side. They're going to be shutting down this ramp. So if this is part of your commute and you're trying to head south and west, you'll want to head over there to Keystone Avenue, even Michigan Road as your detour, and that could slow you down this morning as those areas are already busy for the morning commute. Keep this in mind as you're heading out the door. Over here on the northwest side, up in the Dog Leg, here is that crash cleanup we've been monitoring from the traffic cameras. It's northbound I-465 near I-865. Right lane still blocked as they work to clear that one. No injuries or delays there to slow you down.
A series of storms that started in the west is now canceling hundreds of flights in the northeast. Officials are also blaming the weather for a plane sliding off the runway in western New York, a nearly 60-car pileup in Maryland, and at least 7 deaths. The wintry mix has caused snow, ice, and wind across the country. In Arizona, powerful storms caused flooding that swept away a pickup truck carrying 9 people. Police are still searching for a 6-year-old girl. 2 more 5-year-olds were found dead on Saturday.
At 6:19, here is a current look at the current flight delays to and from Indianapolis International Airport. So far, just 4 flights are being impacted out of Indianapolis. Those flights are heading to Atlanta, LaGuardia, Baltimore, and also Toronto. Those flights impacted as well. We're going to be keeping an eye on those, and we'll let you know if any other problems crop up. Now, the weather is expected to impact the travel in the northeast hubs later today.
At this hour, many Americans have already scored some Cyber Monday deals, but there's a lot that will go unseen by consumers. That's because of so-called bots operated by cyber criminals. According to computer security firm Radware, the bots buy discounted items that criminals then resell to third-party sites for more money. Radware says normally humans outnumber bots when it comes to online shopping, but from Black Friday to Cyber Monday, bots take over with a 20-to-1 ratio. And while you're out shopping for the holidays, we hope you'll consider donating to the RTV6 Toy Drive. Our collection on Monument Circle is this Thursday from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. You can also drop off toys at several locations, including participating Applebee's and used stores. For a full list, go to the IndyChannel.com and click on the 6 Shines On Toy Drive link.
At 6:20, also making news this morning, police are trying to figure out what led to a shooting on a crowded New Orleans street. 10 people were injured early Sunday morning on Canal Street. Street in New Orleans. Right now, 2 of the victims remain in critical condition. Police were on the scene patrolling a busy college football game viewing spot when the shots rang out. But they say the crowd was so big it was difficult to pinpoint who was behind the shooting. No arrests have been made so far. Officials say they are reviewing surveillance video. Also new this morning, 3 Michigan police officers are recovering after being shot near Kalamazoo. Officers there were called to respond to a reported home invasion. When they arrived at the scene, they were confronted by a man holding those inside the home hostage. As those officers moved to get inside, the suspect started shooting, hitting 3 officers. This morning, they are recovering from non-life-threatening injuries. A person inside the home was killed by the gunfire.
Officers involved appear to have fired no shots. All the shots that were fired are from the suspect alone and not the homeowner or the police officers that were on the scene.
The suspect attempted to run from police, but he was arrested. More details surrounding that incident will be released at a press conference scheduled for later today.
Phone scams have gotten quite elaborate over the years. New at 6:27, we're breaking down the latest scam to make the rounds so you don't waste your money.
Visit us at kaplingersfreshcatch.com.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 6:24 on your Monday, and we are monitoring traffic right now from our live drive vehicle. Shay Goodpaster, our photographer in the driver's seat. This is a dash cam view of I-465 northbound near 86th Street on the northwest side. Traffic here is moving along pretty smoothly. We do have a crash around I-865 that may slow you down. The right lane blocked in that area. And then we're also monitoring a reported serious crash on I-465 and US 31, the ramp system up there on the north side. So Shay's going to go take a look at that and see how that will impact your morning drive.
All right, Lauren, unless you have been living under a rock, you know that Frozen 2 is out in theaters. Anyone with kids has seen it, and maybe they've seen it twice already, and it is now the highest grossing movie ever for the Thanksgiving weekend box office. The sequel to the 2013 animated hit set the record, bringing in more than $123 million over the 5-day holiday weekend. The previous record was held by The Hunger Games Catching Fire. Frozen 2 has made more than $738 million globally in just 12 days.
Wow. Well, my niece asked for a bunch of Frozen 2 stuff for Christmas. I'm already on top of that.
Good, good, good.
All right, a dying Star Wars fan received one of his final wishes. Take a look here. The patient wanted to watch the newest movie in the franchise, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Problem is, the film won't be in theaters until mid-December. That's when the hospice where he's being treated tweeted in plea of the patient's behalf, saying, quote, "Time is not on his side." Well, Disney CEO Bob Iger responded, saying the company would allow the patient a preview. The patient says he felt like he won the lottery.
Whoa. Well, Sean Ritchell is anything but your conventional teacher. The New Mexico leadership teacher writes inspirational raps and performs for his students in class. Ritchell says there's a few purposes behind the rap lessons, one of which is to help students don't be doubtful about yourself. He says the lessons also help students work together by staying on beat.
I love how he's like on the table in the cafeteria. Full schoolhouse
dangerous.
I know. Students are into it.
They are.
Pretty cool.
They are. All right. Well,
something we're not into is the weather today.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. He has a lot of fans. You saw there. You're not going to have a lot of fans today in terms of your forecast.
There's better days ahead. You know, December's not one of our best weather months. We know that, so you can't be too upset about the weather here as we go throughout the day today. It's just not that bright of a day. We have a damp feel that's out there throughout the day. There's a little bit of patchy drizzle and or a few flurries. Temperatures really just don't do much at all. We're only in the mid-30s here by the noon hour, and then we really don't warm from that point forward throughout the day today, as high temperatures will only be getting up to right around 36 degrees in Indy as well as Peru, 37 in Bloomington. As dreary as today is, there's not a lot of precipitation heading our way, and that is the good news. The skies will brighten by tomorrow. More on that forecast coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Todd. Well, phone scams, they've really gotten out of control in the past few years. We just hate them. Callers, they're demanding money, often claiming they have a warrant for your arrest. I had one of those last week.
Well, now there is an even more frightening phone scam as we head into the new year. Our John Matarese is working for you this morning so you don't waste your money.
You might have heard of the IRS scam. or the Social Security scam where someone calls you demanding money. But there's another phone scam that's far more terrifying these days because the caller claims they've kidnapped your child. Home Inspector Jim Kidd answered his phone while on the job the other day. It was a call that would make any parent frantic.
I heard that it sounded like my daughter in distress, and she called me daddy like she does when she's upset about something, and it was very convincing.
A man then said he had kidnapped Jim's 27-year-old daughter.
He said, I just want you to know that we have your daughter, and I need you to not hang up. If you hang up, I will kill her.
You don't question it at that point.
I just wanted her home and safe. That was it.
The caller was very clear. He said, get to the bank and then wire me $1,000 and I won't harm your daughter. Jim luckily had enough wits about him to tell a coworker to call police and follow him as he went to get the money.
I wrote a note to my client. Daughter been kidnapped, call 911, have them follow me.
This hand-scrawled note led to a state police officer pulling up behind Jim, who told Jim to call his daughter, so he did.
I called and found out it was a big hoax.
It's called the virtual kidnapping scam. Like other phone scams, it's bilking parents for thousands of dollars when their son or daughter is really in no trouble at all. Jim's advice to other parents?
Get to another phone as quick as you can. Call them, call somebody, contact them.
Because he says it's the most terrifying scam he's ever encountered. If you get any kind of threatening phone call about a kidnapping or from the sheriff or the IRS, don't do anything immediately. Just take 1 minute to contact another family member so you don't waste your money. Working for you, I'm John Matteries. Good morning, Indiana.
Now on Good Morning Indiana on this Monday morning, here's a look at your 6:30 news feed. 2 people are dead after separate homicides on opposite sides of Indianapolis. Metro Police tell us the first one happened just before 11 o'clock Sunday morning on the east side. Police found a man dead on Belleville Avenue between Michigan and New York streets.
Then around 12:45, officers found a man dead on the west side. His body was discovered on Whitcomb Avenue, southwest of 16th and Lyndhurst. Police say the victim had been shot. The names of both of Sunday's homicide victims have not been released.
A contract worker at the Pendleton Correctional Facility has been charged with bringing drugs to inmates. Kevin Lake is charged with selling Suboxone and methamphetamine at the Correctional Industrial Facility. Trafficking to an inmate is a felony charge.
More than 1,000 patients are suing a northern Indiana hospital after they were warned a mistake might have exposed them to deadly infections. Goshen Hospital notified more than 1,100 surgical patients last month that a sterilization technician missed a crucial step, possibly exposing the patients to HIV, hepatitis C, and hepatitis B.
The Colts' playoff chances took a big hit at home here on Sunday. They blew a 10-point lead, falling to the Tennessee Titans 31-17. The Titans blocked 2 field goals in the game. The second was returned for a touchdown. The Colts have lost 4 of their last 5 games, and they're now in 3rd place in the division, a game behind Tennessee. But here on your Monday, we do want to welcome you into Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick, and meteorologist Todd Clausen is here. Todd, it's going to be a cloudy day, making it oh so difficult for everyone to get up and get moving after this long holiday weekend.
I know, the sunshine, as I say, always helps everything.
Yeah.
And unfortunately today, not much in the way of sunshine will be heading our way as we will kind of be locked in with the clouds. With that said, though, we don't have a lot of precipitation heading our way, so that's at least some good news. So what do you have to grab before you go? Well, you don't need the sunglasses, you don't need the umbrella. Some of you may want the hat and gloves, but you really just need the jacket here throughout the course of the day today. So the clouds are firmly in place. That is not going to change. You notice a few flurries and or maybe a very isolated shower and some patchy drizzle. Overall, it's just kind of a damp feel out there this morning. But thankfully, the storm system is forming off to our east. There's going to be a lot of snow up and down the East Coast. Keep that in mind if you have travel plans. But back closer to home, it's just a quiet day and not a bright day for us here with the clouds that'll be in place. And because of the clouds, because of the breeze, temperatures really don't warm much at all. 33 by 9 a.m. By the noon hour, Lauren, temperature of only 35.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. We are keeping a close eye on traffic for you this morning as you're heading out to work this Monday. Here's a look right now on the north side. We are monitoring a serious crash here on southbound US 31, the ramp to westbound I-465. We have reports that the vehicle there is on its side, and they are blocking off the ramp in that area. We do have our Shea Goodpaster in live drive there, approaching the ramp system on the north side. And you can see his traffic is stop and go already. He's on the eastbound lanes, approaching Meridian Street. So a heads up if you're a north side driver, avoid this spot if you can. Maybe take Keystone Avenue or Michigan Road as detours and give yourself that extra time. At 6:33, a major project gets underway today, and it's going to force the closure of a road for several months now. So listen to this. If you head downtown, Illinois Street will be shut down between McCarty and South Streets until next July. Citizens Energy is finishing construction on the lower Pogues Run Tunnel as part of the Dig Indy tunnel system. Dig Indy is a 28-mile network of underground tunnels that's aimed at eliminating sewer overflows into the White River. A family of a man who was killed during a home break-in in Brownsburg says that he died defending his loved ones.
Dr. Dean Marr was shot and killed last Wednesday. An obituary for the 61-year-old doctor says he was preparing to host Thanksgiving dinner when attackers carrying guns broke into the home east of Ronald Reagan Parkway and I-74. The obituary says Marr confronted the attackers, sacrificing his life to save others. Police have not confirmed that information so far, and they have not reported any arrests in the case.
Later today, the public will learn more about the future of an Indianapolis school. Last month, the IPS Board of Commissioners voted to end a partnership with Charter Schools USA to manage Emma Donnan Elementary and Middle School. The district will ask the State Board of Education to return control of the school to IPS. A public meeting of the future of the school is scheduled for 6 o'clock tonight. It's going to be held at the Tube Factory on Cruft Street. That's off Shelby Street on the city's south side.
The holiday deals continue with Cyber Monday today. This year's Black Friday saw record-breaking online sales, and researchers say Cyber Monday won't disappoint. Retailers like Amazon, Best Buy, and Target all offering big deals on electronics this year. Best Buy offering more than $100 off Beats by Dre headphones and HP laptops. Target lists big deals on iPad, 65 Vizio TV. Video games and toys are also hot ticket items across major stores.
Time now, 6:35, and RTV6 is working for you this morning after a woman tells us that she and her brother were robbed when they were trying to sell something online. It's unfortunately something that we hear a lot about during the holiday season, and so our Kelsey Anderson is joining us live this morning with her message for you. Kelsey, what do we need to know?
Well, Lauren, these two siblings found themselves at gunpoint over the weekend at a busy shopping center when they were trying to sell their PlayStation. Kimberly Arnold tells us her and her brother chose to meet here at the Canby Crossing Shopping Center. She says they assumed nothing could go wrong in a very public place. But when her brother asked for the money, the so-called buyers pulled out a gun and took the console without paying. She says they did call police, but as far as she knows, no arrests have been made.
Hopefully we find out from the cops. Hopefully they find them. I don't know. I'm just praying that they find them because it could happen to anyone, anytime, and I don't want it to happen.
Luckily, Arnold and her brother weren't hurt in the robbery, but she wants her story to be a reminder to everyone to choose a safe location when completing online sales. A spokeswoman with IMPD tells RTV6 they have created safe zones at each police district headquarters for people to safely make exchanges under 24-hour video surveillance. Another option is you can go to the website safetradespots.com. All you have to do is type in your address and it'll populate the closest safe space location near you. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you. He says the story is flat out wrong. Next, the governor takes aim at news organizations whom he says suggested he put potential profits for Indiana ahead of safety.
It isn't the final stretch for the Democrats running for president, but it will take up a lot of their holiday season. More on the resumption of the campaign and how the mayor of South Bend is now a top target. It is 6:36 on your Monday. We'll be right back.
Hands. Thanks to O'Keefe's, I got my hands back.
Governor Holcomb's office has sent cease and desist letters to 2 news organizations over reports that suggest the governor helped reduce safety fines against Amazon in Plainfield. The report last week was from the publication Reveal, put out by the not-for-profit Center for Investigative Reporting. It claims that Holcomb helped eliminate $28,000 in fines for Amazon after the death of a maintenance employee at Amazon's warehouse in Plainfield more than 2 years ago. At the time, Holcomb was lobbying for Amazon to to locate its new headquarters in Indiana. Holcomb has strongly denied the allegations. His office sent a letter to Reveal demanding a retraction and an apology. A letter was also sent to the Indianapolis Star after it published portions of Reveal's report. The first votes in the race for the presidency are just 9 weeks away in Iowa.
And that means candidates for the Democratic nomination are going to be working nonstop through the holidays to try and secure those votes. ABC's Inez de la Cutera tells us that Iowa is a must-win for some candidates, while others are looking at bigger and more diverse states down the road.
With the Iowa caucuses just 2 months away, Democrats are going all in the Hawkeye state. Former Vice President Biden in the midst of an 8-day, 18-county, 800-mile road trip. He's calling it the No Malarkey Bus Tour.
We're going the last 2 months here, and we're getting down to the stretch. And the time to, as they say in Iowa, the time to peak is right about now.
Biden still leads in most national polls, but the latest state polling in Iowa shows him trailing Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and he's statistically tied with Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. The candidates also flooding the airwaves, over 5,000 ads airing just this week, including this one about the Buttigieg plan to limit tuition-free college.
There are some voices saying, well, that doesn't count unless you go even further, unless it's free even for the kids of millionaires. But I only want to make promises that we can keep.
That proposal drawing fresh attacks from the progressive wing of the party. Senator Warren switching up the way she campaigns, taking more questions from voters, and sharing an emotional moment on Sunday.
I was wondering if there was ever a time in your life where somebody you really looked up to maybe didn't accept you as much?
Yeah. But the truth is, you got to take care of yourself first and do this. Give me a hug.
And Senator Kamala Harris is also in the state. The New York Times reports her campaign is in turmoil, with a top aide leaving to go join Mayor Michael Bloomberg's team and calling Harris's campaign disorganized. Inez de la Cutera, ABC News, Washington.
The search for a suspect continues in New Orleans. Coming up on the weekend, that gunfire terrified a historic French Quarter.
And for the first time in a long time, the Supreme Court hears a gun control case. More on what the justices will hear and how it could have implications across the country. Todd.
And Meredith, as you walk out the door here this morning, everybody, no matter where you are here in central Indiana, you're walking out to lots of clouds and a little bit of patchy drizzle and temperatures that are in the 30s. We stay in the 30s throughout much of the day as the clouds are going to have a tough time breaking apart. But we'll talk about the brighter days ahead coming up in your 7-day planning forecast with Good Morning Indiana continues right here on RTV6.
Education.com.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 6:45, and we're keeping a close eye on your roads as you're heading out to work or school this Monday morning. Here's a look from our live drive vehicle. Shay Goodpaster just talking to some crews working to clean up that crash that we were monitoring on the ramp from southbound US 31 to westbound I-465. They tell us the person involved in that crash is going to be okay, so that is the good news this morning. Still causing some traffic issues as the ramp is blocked. Shay also tells us he passed a crash in the northbound lanes of US 31, so that is further complicating things there on the north side. Plan ahead, we do have some delays. This morning, police in New Orleans are still looking for the person or persons responsible for a shooting into a crowd gathered in the famed French Quarter. This happened just before 3:30 Sunday morning. Investigators say several officers were already on the scene because of the Vigo Classic football game, which has brought tens of thousands of visitors into town. 10 people there were injured in the shooting, and at least 2 were critically hurt. One person was detained near the scene, but so far no arrests have been made. The FBI is now assisting with that investigation.
For the first time in nearly a decade, the U.S. Supreme Court will wade into the gun control debate. The High Court will hear arguments today in a dispute over a New York City gun restriction policy. The ordinance in question put restrictions on transporting legally owned guns. Gun owners say it violates their Second Amendment rights. Gun control advocates argue that if the Supreme Court issues a broad ruling expanding gun rights, a variety of firearms restrictions laws passed in recent years by state and local governments across the country could be in jeopardy. A relentless winter storm is pummeling the East Coast. The storm is already being blamed for several deaths after marching across the country. People in 30 states have been facing travel delays after the holiday weekend, and the worst is yet to come for several major cities. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest.
This morning, winter weather alerts for millions of Americans getting back to business after the Thanksgiving break. The deadly storm that hit the West Coast and Midwest is now making its final stand on the East Coast. Several major cities will see the first snow accumulations of the season today, including New York, Philadelphia, and Boston.
Drivers should use extreme caution if they need to be on the road, and they should avoid traveling if they can in areas of heavy snowfall.
People in Albany, New York are bracing for up to a foot of snow. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is there.
The State University of New York here in Albany is just one of several colleges canceling classes on Monday.
In Niagara Falls, this car pinned beneath a truck. Icy conditions likely to blame for the crash. This plane skidded off a taxiway as it arrived in Buffalo. And overnight, snow pummeling the airport outside Hartford, Connecticut, one of several airports across the country reporting delays and cancellations.
Drive to get here was absolutely crazy. I've never seen the airport quite this bad.
In South Dakota, blizzard conditions turned deadly when a plane carrying 12 people crashed shortly after takeoff. 9 people were killed, including 2 prominent business executives from Idaho, 2 children, and the pilot. In Minnesota, snowdrifts buried these cars in Duluth after more than a foot and a half of snow. Plows struggled to keep up as drivers abandoned their cars on the highway. In the meantime, already dumping snow in parts of Washington state. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, New York.
And back here at home, we got to get a check of our forecast because people are heading back to work, back to school after a long holiday weekend.
And Todd, you just noted to us that temps are starting to dip near freezing, which could cause some issues out there.
Yeah, Lauren's been telling you about all these accidents that are now starting to pop up across parts of central Indiana. And if you haven't walked out the door yet, there's a lot of moisture. There's not much falling from the sky here this morning, but there's still that damp feel. And there's moisture trapped with a solid layer of clouds up in the sky. And as temperatures are now getting to close to freezing across the area with some areas of drizzle, it's not another question we could be starting to see some slick spots on some of the roadways. So even though there's nothing falling from the sky here this morning, be a little bit careful. Anytime you get in your car and the thermometer says the temperature is right around freezing, you just got to use a little bit of extra caution. And you can see the shine with the lights and on the roadways, and that's the moisture that we have. Here's the solid deck of clouds that's in place. This will be with us throughout the entire day today. We are not going to get rid of the clouds. The temperature's down to 33 degrees now. Officially in Indianapolis, there's a bit of a wind this morning as well. The west-northwest at 23 miles per hour. The wind will actually start to subside as the day goes on. That's the good news. The bad news is the wind direction. That is not going to change when you combine those northwesterly winds with the clouds in place. Our temperatures are not going to moderate much at all. But here are those temperatures that I was mentioning. Below freezing in Crawfordsville, at freezing in Greencastle, as well as Martinsville. Freezing in Columbus, in Richmond, just above freezing as you work your way from Indianapolis up towards the Tipton area. So those temperatures, again, hovering close to freezing. So just use a little bit of extra caution here this morning. Our featured dogs of the day, and they got the right idea on the couch, just cuddled up with their jackets on. Bigsby and Petunia. Thanks for Heather for sending them in. And as far as your dog walking forecast, temperatures as a whole today do not move much at all with mostly cloudy skies. But once we get past that little drizzle and or flurry this morning, things will start to improve later on this afternoon. And you can see that the radar is struggling a little bit to pick up some of this moisture because it's so light. The radar beam flies a little bit lower and can't pick up that moisture. And so we are going to have the potential there for a little bit this morning, but all the substantial moisture is off to the east. This is the big storm system on the east coast that you saw right before this weather forecast. And here's the one on the west coast with a lot of wind and rain as well. So we have to deal with the clouds. We have to deal with a little bit of drizzle, but thankfully we don't have to deal with any accumulating snow. Tomorrow morning, temperatures are in the 20s. Gets off to a little bit of a dreary start for the day tomorrow, but then we work some sunshine in. With that added sunshine tomorrow, temperatures will be a little bit warmer, up to right around 40 degrees. And then as we work our way throughout the remainder of the week, Wednesday and Thursday, not bad. Mid-40s, that's seasonable with plenty of sunshine. Could be a little bit of a light wintry mix overnight Thursday into Friday, not a major deal. Then as we get into the weekend, Lauren, and temperatures still in the 40s.
All right, Todd, as you've been saying, there could be some problems on the roads, and we have quite a few crashes out there that's really slowing down interstate traffic. Taking a look first here in the downtown area. If your drive takes you northbound on I-65 between the south and north splits, we do have a crash blocking the center lane here near Washington Street. Traffic is stop and go all the way back to the south split, so give yourself that extra time heading through downtown. North side, we still have this ramp closed for a crash cleanup southbound US 31 to westbound I-465. Take Keystone Avenue as a detour. Traffic there on US 31 southbound is backed up all the way to 106th Street, so plan ahead. We have delays right lane block northbound I-465 at I-865 here in the dogleg on the northwest side, so give yourself extra time traveling through that area. And now let's take a live look on the south side. This is a crash you can see on your screen, and it is a parking lot out there. Traffic is at a complete standstill here on eastbound I-465 heading past Harding Street heading towards East Street. Traffic on northbound Harding Street, northbound State Road 37 in that area from the south side is also stop and go, so this is creating a major traffic jam for south side drivers. Plan ahead. This is something we'll continue to monitor. Well, if you didn't get enough shopping on Black Friday, no worries. Cyber Monday is finally here. Coming up on Good Morning America, everything you need to know to get the best deals.
And maybe it'll make you feel less guilty about that visit to the cheese aisle. Up next, how some stores are offering the chance to get buff just across from where you can find the beef. That's coming up.